Hello there, my fundamentally fidgety fencer Fitzwilliams. Welcome to my Test All Weapons series. It was recently made known to me that I never finished the fencer class. I never finished the last two columns of cannons and missile launchers. So, if you're new to my channel or if you haven't known about my series, I have a series called Test All Weapons where I go through every weapon type and show you the weapon in the field and also tell you the stats and just give my opinions on how good it is. You can find it under the playlist on my channel under each of the specific classes, like it's under Ranger class, it's under the Ranger playlist, or it's also under the Weapons playlist where it has all four classes. But between those two playlists you should be able to find it, or just search EDF 5 Test All Weapons. But anyway, so I'm going to finish up Fencer here. So thanks to Gabe, my friend here, I mentioned that I'd never finished this. I actually forgot. It was a bunch of stuff came out. So let's get started here. So the first weapon type under this column is the super heavy mortar. This thing is okay. I wouldn't say it's super useful, but it has its time and place. I like to use this thing underground. It has decent damage, 5,400 damage maxed out. It shoots only once every 3 seconds, unfortunately, but it does have a decent blast radius, 24 meter blast radius. Like I said, I like to use this thing underground. It also shoots very straight as well. It's got good range. And the second way I like to use this is I like to take a dash jump weapon with my first set of hands, and then my second set of hands, or on my feet, I like to put them on my feet. Then I'll take the super heavy mortar, and then what I'll do is I'll jump up really high with my first set of weapons, switch weapons to the heavy mortar, shoot down, and then switch back and then dash hop away, which I'll show here in the video. And then the next weapon type is the Dispersion mortar. Now this thing is probably going to be your main go-to weapon for explosive damage. This thing is absolutely amazing. It only has 2 shots, but it does a decent amount of burst damage. Let me get the official max damage on that. It does 960 damage times 30 when it's maxed out. I actually need to work on this still. It only shoots once every 2 seconds, long reload, but the thing that makes it so amazing is the secondary function is a jump. So this allows you to do burst damage, it allows you to have good range damage as well. It has a decent range on it, and it allows you to take a dash weapon with it, so you can actually use this to dash hop around. So it's one of my favorite weapons besides a shotgun, and I think it's probably the most useful weapon. It may not seem like it at the beginning, but once you start messing around with it, I think you'll find that it's an amazing weapon overall, because you'll use your dash weapon to fight primarily, and then once that thing is reloaded, then you just do a quick burst damage, and then just, keep using your dash weapon. Alright, so here's the heavy crusher mortar. Unfortunately, the secondary is a zoom, so you can't dash around with it or jump around with it, and when you shoot it, it kind of locks you in place like the heavy cannon as well, and it kind of pushes you back a little bit too, which is unfortunate. But it shoots very straight and very accurate, and it's a pretty decent weapon. Like I said, what I like to do personally is I like to just take a jump, dash jump, and then dash jump around, jump up in the air as high as you want, decently high because it takes a while to switch to your weapon, shoot down, and then swap weapons before you land to the ground and dash hop away. So that's the way you can use it into large crowds if you're being chased by large crowds and you still want to use the heavy mortar. Just want to make sure that you dash or you jump in the air a decent amount of times. You're probably going to be able to do this more on Inferno because you have enough jumps on Inferno, whereas on Hard or something you may not have enough jumps to get in the air to do it, but it's still probably doable. Then shoot it, and then switch weapons, and then dash hop away. Because it takes about 2 seconds or something to switch back, so that's why you need more jumps to be in the air. And then, last of all, Dispersion mortar. Now, this weapon, like I said, is probably my favorite weapon overall. It's just amazing damage and amazing burst damage. Usually, you're going to have it on a dash jump weapon, so you can jump around. But this thing shoots relatively straight, as you can see. So it's good for range targets. I like it on drop ships. I like it on Urginus. I like it on just about everything because you can jump with it, so you can really get in the air with it, and rain down on large groups of enemies that are chasing you. Then you can use your jackhammer or blasto spear or shotgun or spine driver rather, or whatever, to fight while you're waiting for that thing to reload in the back or on the other hand. Because I don't like to have the Dispersion mortar on a separate hand. I usually like to have it with a dash weapon so that I can dash jump with it. But I just put it like this because of showing the other weapon. But yeah, this is probably one of the most amazing weapons for groups and single targets. So I would definitely recommend giving this thing a try if you haven't. and there's more versions of it as well. Alright, on to the next weapon type. Then there is the light mortar. The light mortar I don't use too much, but it's still a useful weapon because you can jump with it. So what I would do is I would take a good weapon to fight with. So probably, I mean, I like the jackhammer. So take a dash weapon and then take the light mortar with it so that you can dash jump around with it. And it's kind of like, the negative of it is it knocks enemies away, but it has a decent damage. I mean, 1698 damage, 17 meter blast, shoots 1.8 a second, very quick, good range, shoots pretty straight as well, so pretty good weapon overall, I would say. But I would say primarily the dispersion mortar is the one I would take the most besides the shotgun. But the heavy mortar and the light mortar are more of like a niche weapon. So let's take one of those. Oops, I already have it. And then let's take the next weapon type, which would be, this is a 35mm battle cannon. Now this thing is going to be your strongest sniper. It shoots very straight. It shoots through targets. It shoots only once every 3 seconds though, but if you take 2 of them, of course you can shoot them, you know, twice as fast. So it's pretty decent DPS. So 5,000 per arm, and then if you double that, it'll be 10,000 damage per second pretty much for these, which is very good damage per second. The negative is, like I said, it pushes you back, and it has recoil on it too, so it can be a little tough. You could use recoil items to avoid that, but it is going to be a good sniper though. So let's take one of those and show that off. I'll take 2 of those, and I'll take a recoil item to show. If you do take the recoil item, it'd be very useful for these. There's 2 different ways you can do it. You can either take a recoil item, or you can take the item that reduces turning speed when you have a heavy item equipped. So it would be rotational inertia 0%. That'd also be beneficial. Like if you're trying to hit fast moving targets, like if you're trying to snipe drones with it, it might be better to take this instead of recoil, so you can turn around fast. And then if you're trying to hit a stationary targets, then you might want to take the recoil item instead. So we'll take both of those just to show that off. Alright, here's the light mortar. It shoots relatively straight, relatively fast, and like I said, you can dash jump around with it. So because of that, it can be a good weapon to fight crowds with. I kind of don't prefer it just because it knocks enemies away. I almost rather have the dispersion mortar, but it's still fun to use once in a while, and it can be useful with your dash jump setup. And like I said, decent damage per second. I mean, it shoots almost 3,000 a second, so it's not bad. And then the battle cannon. So this is how fast you can turn with the battle cannon with that rotational inertia 0% item. So you can use this thing to snipe things in the air if you really want to, which is a nice thing. And then reducing recoil as well, you can put recoil item on it as well, and it can be a very good weapon to shoot targets in the air or fast moving targets. It's just you need to have someone up front, or it needs to be drones to where they won't attack you from up close like an ant and kill you. But can be useful. Like I said, it's going to probably be your best sniping as far as damage per second. But I'll show you something I prefer over this weapon. But there is a time and place for this for sure. And the reload isn't terrible either on these things for being how much damage they are. So Fencer is probably your best sniper. It's just a little bit more difficult to be mobile with them unless you have someone distracting. Alright, let's go ahead and go back now. The next weapon type is the NC Cannon 290, or just the NC cannons in general. This thing does, let's see, maxed out, it does 2,412 damage, 0.2, and it shoots almost 2 a second. So if you equip 2 of these NC cannons, it does the same damage per second as one of these battle cannons. However, the benefit of this is it does more stun lock because you can constantly fire it. You don't need to have a turning inertia item for it to turn around with it. And I just personally it seems to be easier to use for me personally. Let's go ahead and take 2 of these. I do recommend taking a recoil item if you do take 2 NC cannons, because just of how much recoil you'll have on them. It's a lot easier to be accurate with them. The benefit also is you can take a muzzle stabilizer, then you can take one of these double dash jump items for your other hands, so you can still be mobile with your other set of weapons. So that's the NC cannon. And then the next weapon type in this column is the cannon shot. Now this thing does a decent amount of damage. 200 times 70. Let me get the exact number here really quickly. 193 times 70. So it does 13,510 damage. I mean, that's pretty good damage. It only shoots once every 2 seconds. The reload time is a little bit long, but it shoots through targets. It's pretty much a long-range shotgun that shoots through targets. So it's a pretty decent weapon, I would say. I don't take it as much as I probably should, but I think it's definitely fun to use. It has a little bit of recoil when you're in the air, but you can jump with this thing. That's the benefit. If you can jump with it, that will make it a lot more useful. So you can take it with the dash weapon. So let's go ahead and take these out really quickly. Alright, as you can see, you can dash jump with the cannon shot. It does kind of kick you back in the air and stun you a bit, but you can recover relatively quickly. And this thing has a ridiculous range, so it can be pretty decent, I think. For like drones, wasps, things like that. Tadpoles. Even on groups, I mean, if it shoots through targets. And then the NC cannon, like I said, as long as you have 2 recoil items, this thing is probably going to be your most, I think, useful, enjoyable sniper combo. It's very good on colonists and cosmonauts because it can constantly stun lock them, whereas the battle cannon, you can't really stun lock them because it shoots so slow. So that's one benefit of it. So let's see how much damage this thing does. Oh my goodness. I mean, this is offline though, to be fair, but still, I mean, I think it's a decent weapon. It's just a little bit long of a reload is unfortunate, but I mean, to be fair, it shoots through targets, so that kind of makes up for it. But I like the weapon, honestly. And if it wasn't for the dispersion mortar, I would probably take this thing a lot more. It's just the dispersion mortar having the explosive damage makes it very useful. As you can see, pretty long reload, but you have 5 shots compared to the 2 of the dispersion mortar. So pretty cool weapon. I like it. Let's go ahead and go back and use this NC cannon here. But like I said, the NC cannon is great on drop ships. It's great on a lot of enemy types. It's great on even packs of enemies if you have, if you're more in the back lines and just fighting from further away, because you can really shoot through a lot of targets. You can shoot through a lot of ants as well. Just a very good weapon overall. I would say it's one of his better weapons. Unfortunately, you can't jump with it. The secondary is a zoom. So man, if you could jump with this weapon, my goodness, this thing would be used a lot. But it has a zoom, unfortunately. Alright, those are those 2 weapons. Let's go ahead and retreat. The next weapon type he has in his column is the canister cannon, which is kind of unique in that it bounces off walls. Let me go ahead and show you. This is probably better for underground. Yeah, let me take it on this hand here. And then I think that's the last weapon type in this column. Actually, there is a Powerdyne. Let me go ahead and show that. It's level 2. It's the only one of its kind, but it shoots 1 shot. It shoots through targets. It shoots kind of slow, but you can't reload it. It's one of those weapons you can't reload. So, but it's kind of cool. I'm surprised they don't have more of those, honestly, in the game. Let's take 2 of those just because. Alright, let's take an underground mission so that we can see this thing bounce and see if it's useful underground. Alright, so you can actually jump with this thing, which is nice, but you'll notice that it's kind of like the cannon shot, but it bounces off walls. So it's more for lower difficulties. So you could probably use this more on, I'm not sure if you could, I think you might be able to use it on hard, I'm not sure, but hardest, maybe, underground missions, but I mean, there's probably better options, but it's a weapon that can be fun to use. It's not terrible by any means. The damage isn't terrible at all. And like I said, since you can jump around, it just makes it that much more useful than other weapons that cannot jump around. But it's got a decent range too, so it can be pretty good underground if you need to fight some enemies around corners or just queens or whatever, where you need to actually shoot around the corner. And then the Powerdyne. This thing has a zoom on it. Let me restart here because I don't want to get tacked. This thing's a very low level weapon, but it's strong for shorter missions. You could take it on like hard maybe, but seems kind of weak though for level 2. But very cool. It's like that. It's like the mechs, the Nix for the air raider. Looks very cool. I just wish there was more of these, to be honest with you. Shoots relatively fast too. Yeah, that's the Powerdyne. Let me check the range on that thing really quick. I forgot to look at the range. Mine's not maxed out, but 1,000-meter range, yeah, it's pretty much like the Nyx, the DLC Nyx that they gave Aerator, like a long railgun beam, which is pretty cool. All right, yeah, because the cannon shot does what, 2 times 5? Let me get the exact number here. All right, the canister cannon maxed out does 42 times 60, so 2,400 damage. Not too bad. 2,500 damage per shot. I mean, that's not bad, honestly, for hardest or hard, if you can get away with it on hard. So yeah, pretty decent weapon. I mean, interesting weapon, but usually it's only if you're playing lower difficulties, of course. Alright, now we're on to the missile column. For the missile column, I'm going to include that in part 2, because the video is approaching 40 minutes. I just want to cut it in the middle so it won't be too long. Yeah, that'll be it. So if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. It does help more people find the channel. Very much appreciated. And remember, EDF doesn't leave a man behind, ever. And if you're interested in ways to financially support the channel, there's the join button, which is next to the subscribe button. There's 3 different tiers. Or watching a few ads also does help financially as well. It's very much appreciated. Thanks a lot. Hope to see you next time.